Welcome to Doc's Download, the podcast edition, where real conversations meet real Buckeye life. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Shivers, Senior Vice President for Student Life, and better known as Doc, here to bring you stories, strategies, and a few laughs along the way. Whether you're a brand new Buckeye or a seasoned one, consider this your all-access pass to tips, truths, and triumphs straight from the heart of campus. Let's dive in, everybody. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Doc's Download, the podcast edition. I'm your host, Doc, and today we are diving into a very important topic for students, families, staff, and faculty alike. We're going to be talking about campus safety and support. To help us explore this, I am joined by three incredible people who are deeply involved in keeping our campus safe and supportive. Ohio State University Police Chief Dennis Jeffrey, Mo McKenna, who is a campus service officer with Ohio State's Department of Public Safety, and Rochelle Toth, who is our Community Outreach and Engagement Manager with Off-Campus and Commuter Student Engagement. So their titles alone should tell you how important they all are. Before we jump into today's conversation, I'd love for each of you to introduce yourself and share your favorite thing about Ohio State. Chief, we will start with you.
So thanks for having me, Doc, and good morning, everyone. I've been chief of police here for about a year, and I've been at Ohio State for 3 years. Prior to that, I was with the Columbus Division of Police. And my favorite thing about Ohio State University is really the partnerships. You know, there's so many people here from so many different walks of life. It's just really important to understand where everybody's coming from, but also learn about one another, and so we can really work together with each other.
That's awesome. Thank you. Mo.
I'm a sophomore here at Ohio State, and I am a CSO on campus. And I think my favorite thing about Ohio State is the amount of opportunities and how they make this big campus feel super small.
That's awesome. We hear so many people talk about how we go from really big to super small. So thanks for validating that as a fact. Rochelle.
Hi, glad to be here. So I've been here at Ohio State for 15 years, and I've had the opportunity to work in several different units across student life. And one thing for me that really stands out is just the amazing people and opportunities and just the collaboration and partnerships and really being able to make the work that we do so much more effective by really relying on those relationships.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. You know, I think about something that Chief said in terms of partnerships, and then Rochelle, you talked about the resources, and then Mo talked a little bit about how we make campus feel small. Those are very intentional actions. Those things don't just happen. I mean, we have to think about safety both on and off campus, and having those relationships and partnerships helps us to get there. Chief, can you talk a little bit with us about the various tools and resources that are available to students to support them both on and off campus? And then Rochelle, I'd love to hear how the work that OCCSE does really partners and supports the work of OSU PD. So Chief, I'll start with you, and then Rochelle, we'll jump right over to you.
Well, sure. Thanks, Doc. Yeah, first, we have a product called the Rave Guardian app, and it's basically a GPS tracking tool that provides emergency notifications, but also it's an interesting thing. You have a virtual walk at home. So basically, you can invite someone to follow you. Hey, I'm leaving at this time, so they'll know if you arrive safely. If you don't, then they could, reach out to you or call the police. We also have blue light phones across campus. You've probably seen them. They have a blue light on top. They have a button, so if you feel like you're in any kind of danger, you can push that button, and it's almost like a 911 system. So it immediately goes to our dispatch center.
Chief, where are those located?
They're all over campus, and we actually have some off campus as well, right off High Street, so east of High.
So students should be able to see those wherever they may find themselves. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have the Lyft Ride Smart program where, obviously a ride share system where the university helps pay for that, so students can use that service to get to places safely. Police and security patrols, including rounding and residence halls. So we do have patrols in the residence halls. And lastly, we want everyone to follow OSU Police on social media for tips and to stay informed. So we put a lot of information out there. So, if something's going on, we like to put it out there. But also some good some things like events that are coming up, like we recently had Coffee with the Cop, stuff like that.
Oh, tell us about that.
Yeah, it's great. We've had 2 where we, little stereotype, but anyway, we bought some donuts from Buckeye Donuts. We really just want to have our officers engage with students and faculty. So just a really good way to meet people, and get them to know us, and we get to know them.
Oh, Buckeye Donuts is a great way to
they're
get
delicious,
folks
I hear.
there.
Yeah,
They're a little yummy.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
little yummy. Thanks, Chief. Rochelle.
So our office has many resources and tools that support students living in the off-campus area and really focus on safety. We have our Off-Campus Housing Network program, which is a program that our property owners opt into, and they agree to additional safety criteria for the units that are within their portfolio. And so it's a great opportunity for students to see what property owners' best practices are and what their business operations are, to be knowledgeable about where they're renting from. So it's a really great tool. We also do a lot of educational programming as well. And so a lot of the resources that Chief just mentioned, we really incorporate those in those educational opportunities. We do off-campus living sessions to help students prepare for their housing search, and then sessions that also help students to understand what resources and tools are available to them as they're living off campus. We have our free safety devices, so students can stop in our office when our office is open just with their Buck ID and pick up window and door alarms, as well as personal safety devices. And we have community ambassadors who are students that do peer-to-peer outreach and share information about a lot of these resources that were mentioned to students throughout campus and various events. And so we partner really closely with OSU PD, not only to share out those resources, but also to stay informed of what's going on in the off-campus area as well.
That's awesome. Thanks, Rochelle. One thing that you mentioned, that it's possible for students to come by the office to pick up safety devices, or perhaps even to just come in and ask questions. Do you want to tell our listeners where the office is located?
Yeah, absolutely. Our office is located on the 3rd floor of the Union. It's room 3106. We're right across from the Buck ID office. And so students can come by. They just need to bring their Buck ID or show us their Buck ID, and they can pick those up for free.
And they can pick up 1 or 10. Can they pick up ones for friends, or do all the friends need to also bring in their individual IDs?
Yeah, great question. So we do ask that students each individually come in. They can get 1 personal safety device, and then they can get several window and door alarms as well.
Oh, perfect. That's awesome. Thank you. So, Mo, you have a unique perspective as a student, but also in your role. From your perspective, how do students respond to these kinds of tools and resources? And this is a place you can be very honest. Do they know about them? Do they not? What do we need to do differently to make sure students are aware of everything that's available?
Yeah, honestly, starting as a CSO, I never really knew that we had those resources because they were never really something that came to my mind or something that I saw on social media or anything like that. Until I became a CSO is where I found out that, we have those resources. If you just go into the union, you can get whatever you want. If you want a birdie alarm or a window alarm or anything like that. But I definitely think that they need to be kind of showcased a little bit more on social medias, different pages like that, and just honestly maybe set up different things at different corners of High Street or something like that to make us more known about different devices that we can have on campus.
That's really some really good advice and suggestions for us. I know that off-campus and commuter student engagement does a really nice job on their social media with posting the various devices, because I oftentimes will repost what they put there, and certainly Chief and what they do in OSU PD, but there are always more and better ways that we can get the information out, right? That's important. It's not helpful unless people know that they're available.
Exactly. I think just knowing about, I never knew there was an off-campus Ohio State Instagram page. So I think just publicizing the pages a little bit more might reach the right crowd after that.
That's awesome. Thanks, Mo. We appreciate that. Chief, I'm going to come back to you to talk about an initiative that I have really been so impressed with since coming to Ohio State, and that's about Joint Patrol. Talk a little bit to us about sort of your history with Joint Patrol, and then give our audience just a glimpse into the great work of Joint Patrol and, again, that partnership with CPD.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a program I'm really proud of. And so obviously I was involved with it when I was with Columbus Police because it's been around for a while. And really what it is, it's a partnership between OSU PD and Columbus Police. We have 4 full-time OSU PD officers that ride with 4 Columbus officers. They ride in the car together, they go on calls together, so they really develop a good working relationship. And since many of our students live east of High Street, this team really focuses on that area much more than the main campus area. And it's a great way to strengthen community and trust. So it's really a dual-purpose program. It helps solve crimes, but it also really helps people understand policing a little more.
That's wonderful. And I've had the unique opportunity to witness at least follow-up updates from Joint Patrol and the tremendous ways that they have connected with students in terms of just following up with an incident that may occur. But I've also really come to appreciate both the care and support that they provide those individuals who have been impacted. So they don't see it as just a check mark. Okay, we've checked off this crime. We know what this is about. They actually care for the people. And I think that cannot be overstated enough, Chief. So really appreciate you all's partnership in that work because it is more than just about patrolling spaces. It's about making sure that we're taking care of people. So Rochelle, talk a little bit about how OCCSC works at all in partnership with Joint Patrol.
Yeah, the Joint Patrol program is an invaluable resource, both to our office and the partnerships that we have across the community, as well as to our students. It's so much more than just patrolling and law enforcement, but it's really a bridge for students to law enforcement. It's an opportunity for them to connect with officers that are, in their area and in the off-campus area and are very familiar with what's happening there. A lot of the Joint Patrol officers can be seen at a lot of community programs. We're very fortunate to have them attend our community roundtable meetings that happen monthly, an opportunity for them to connect with property owners that way, but also our block parties, which are our food truck community events where students come and meet their neighbors. They can be found there playing Jenga with the students and getting to know the students. And so it's a really great tool for students to see them as a helpful resource and know the direct individuals that they're seeing out in the community. And when they, because they know them, they often feel comfortable asking questions, sharing concerns that they have, whether it's related to a crime or just safety in general, and also asking follow-up questions. And so the program has been a great support to the work that we do and just really helped elevate all the programming that we're doing. And they've been really great partners and a great resource for students.
That's awesome. Mo, I'm putting you on the spot. It's got to be tough to be a student hanging out with me right now because I just want to know more about what you think and your perspective. Tell me, what do you know about Joint Patrol, but also share with the audience a little bit more, Mo, about your role.
Yeah. So I think one thing that people kind of gets thrown in the back of their minds is jurisdiction. On campus, I don't think people know a lot about jurisdiction, and they kind of ask like, oh, what is OSU PD versus CPD's jurisdiction? And there's kind of difficult lines that get kind of shaded off because of jurisdiction that not many people and I wouldn't know of if I wasn't a CSO. So I think that's one thing that could definitely be looked into more online if people have more questions about that. And then as a CSO, it's kind of unique for me because I want a law enforcement degree at the end of college. I want to go into that field. So it's awesome for me because especially on game days, I get to work right side by side with OSU PD and CPD and state agencies, State Highway Patrol, FBI, a bunch of different agencies that I find super interesting and unique. It's awesome for us because we tend to learn something new every game day we work. And then as well as we are stationed in the Ohio State Police Department on the second floor. So I think that's something that's also cool because, just passing by one another, everybody's so happy to be there, excited to say hi when you pass by, and kind of just doesn't look at us like we're students. They speak to us like we're just one of them. And that's kind of the nice thing about it. So being a CSO, I feel as if it is easier for students to come to us than it is for an actual officer. We tend to have a lot of people who obviously don't call in, but when we're driving by, they'll stop the car and say, hey, and just inform us of what's going on. So I think that's the biggest thing is because we're students, they feel like it's easier to talk to us because we're on the same wavelength as they are.
That's fantastic. And that's what we want, right? We want to remove barriers so that people can get the help that they need to ask the questions that they want to ask. And oftentimes we tend to do that with our peers more than we will with other folks. So I'm glad to hear that it's actually working out that way. But more importantly, just thank you so much for your work. I mean, that's incredible. I'm exhausted thinking about just the game day responsibilities that you all have. So again, really, thanks, Mo, for that. I'm going to jump into just a couple of things related to the fact that we are a big city. And as someone who comes from a very small town, I imagine that it can be a lot. It has been a lot to think about how do I interact with such a big city and get the support that I need. Chief, talk to us a little bit about what kind of information do you think it's important for students that are new to Columbus and perhaps maybe even new to a town or a city of this size?
Yeah, so for many students, this is probably their first time away from home. They may come from a smaller community. Like you mentioned, it's a big city. In a big city, we have big city issues. So really locking doors and windows is a huge thing we really stress, because if your doors and windows are locked, it just creates an environment where thieves are less likely to try to make you a victim of crime. Keys and key fobs, please secure those. If you leave those unattended, then someone has access to your dorm room or possibly your apartment. Don't walk alone, especially at night. And even more so, if you are walking, be focused on what you're doing. I see a lot of folks with, looking at their phone, and they're just not really have that idea where they're going. So we really want that, know where you're going, have a path, where you're going, so a destination. If you should become a victim of crime, please report that to us. It's really important that we get that information out, not only to help you get maybe that property back, but it also helps us look at, is there a trend in that area that we may have to focus on? And any suspicious behavior, please report it to us. It's really important. If you see something doesn't look right, please tell us so we can check that out. And lastly, as Mo mentioned, there's a jurisdiction issue. So if you're really on campus, you would call OSU PD. If you're in Columbus, you would call CPD. So it's kind of, either way, if you call us, we're going to get you to the right place. But, kind of understanding that jurisdiction is important.
Yeah, that can be so hard because, students and families see wherever students live as that's Ohio State. And Mo, you talked about that jurisdiction piece and the challenges of people understanding the differences. But I love, Chief, what you said about no matter where you call, we're going to get you to the right person. So don't hesitate in reaching out. Mo, I have one last question for you relative to students that are coming from small towns to big cities. What's your one piece of the most important advice that you could give them?
Yeah, so I grew up in Sylvania, Ohio, suburb of Toledo, super small suburb. So coming here, like I said, it felt huge when I got here. It's just what you put yourself into, what you make yourself a part of, that will make this campus feel like home and feel super, super small. If that's getting a job, becoming a CSO, getting involved in different groups and activities or clubs. I'm a part of Criminology Club, and it's awesome. It's brought me a lot of connections, a lot of cool people to hang out with. So just there is a club for everything, literally everything. So in whatever you're interested in, just become a part of that club because you can genuinely strengthen your community with that.
That's wonderful. That important layer of involvement. And it feels like throughout the Docs Download podcast, it's always come back to, in some way, shape, or form, involvement and developing leadership skills and then also building those connections. So I'm thrilled to hear that also shows up in your work, but also in your involvement. One thing, Chief, that we spend a lot of time talking about, and Rochelle, I would love to get your take on this too, is tailgating. As someone who is from the South, my role has always been, the expectation is that you keep the door open for people, right? You hold the door open. You don't sort of pull it closed when you see someone else coming. We are asking people to do completely opposite of that. Talk to me a little bit about the importance of students not perhaps holding the door open for people that they don't know, and why that's significant. And Rochelle, what sort of messaging do you all do in terms of communicating to students about the need to be kind, but perhaps maybe not so kind, particularly as it relates to going in and out of buildings that are accessed via key cards? Chief, I'll start with you.
Yeah, really that access control is really that first line of defense. So, we always want to be, like you said, polite, but if you see someone coming in behind you that you don't recognize or you think might not, be the right, fit for the building, maybe they're older, it's okay to just say, hey, can I help you? Or maybe point them toward the direction of the front desk.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me because I'm older. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can't come in.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for students because we want, always want to be polite and kind, but, sometimes it's okay because that person could, follow you in and do some things that aren't great for not only you, but also everyone else in the residence hall. So it really helps them keep them secure and prevents that unauthorized access. So yeah, if you see someone that is lurking around, doesn't look right, please call us. And we'll go up to that person and try to politely talk to them and maybe, get them in the right direction or give them some assistance if they need so.
That's so tricky because you just don't know who's there. Do they work in the building? Do they not? So you don't want to make assumptions about folks, but you do want to go with your gut. Your instincts are usually right. So thanks, Chief. Rochelle, communicating about that.
Yeah, I think it's most important for students to just keep in mind that, really safety starts with us first. And so, being equipped with those pieces that help you really promote that safety. And I think, just like Chief said, I think it's equipping yourselves with ahead of time, like how to respond. And you could do that in a polite way too. And so, even if it's saying like, hey, I'm so sorry, if you're not able to swipe in yourself, like here's how you can get in. And so I think it's just keeping in mind, like there is a way to do it where you are being safe and also still friendly and polite to the students and again, or to those that are coming in the building. And again, I think it's just thinking about, what feels comfortable to you and equipping yourself with that ahead of time before you even get into that situation to be prepared.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And one message that we always want to communicate is that victims of crime are never the reason that the crime happened. And so that notion of victim blaming is something that we definitely stay away. So this conversation is really around how do you make sure that you know the resources and that you know the protocols and understand how best to access support. But certainly in no way are we suggesting that individuals that are victims of crime are the reason. So it's important, though. That's why this, I think, episode in particular is one that I wanted to have early and perhaps have it often, just to remind people that we care deeply about your safety and we are here to provide the type of support. So we're going to wrap up. I would love to hear from each of you one important piece of advice, both for our students, but also for the parents and families that support their students from afar relative to safety. Mo, I'll start with you.
My piece of advice, honestly, is getting the Citizen app. Both parents and students, honestly, the best thing I've ever downloaded. Because say I want to go get lunch somewhere or dinner somewhere, and I live on campus, so I'm walking there. You can pull up the Citizen app and see everything that's happening around you right now. And if something's going on, then you just don't go that right then. It shows you when police show up to a scene. If something's happening, it tells you when everything's okay and when it's okay to get back outside. So I just think having that app, I'm interested in it because that's what I'm studying, but I genuinely think that it helps kind of showcase what's going on and helps you know that, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't, walk to get food right now. But then if I look 5 minutes later, it'll show me a video of what's going on and tells me that, okay, it's done. Now I can walk to get food.
So downloading the Citizens app.
Yes.
Check.
Yes.
All right, Rochelle.
Yeah, the amazing thing about Ohio State is there are so many resources, and I know that can make it very overwhelming. And, sometimes you hear about things, but it's not when you need them, and so it's easy to forget them. So I think one of the most important things for students and families are, making sure to follow a lot of the social medias of the various departments. I think our department is a great one. Public safety is a great one, because we really try to share out information that's relevant for the time of year. And so just being aware of those resources is great, but you don't have to remember them for, the entire year. If you're following, those should come up, when you need them most. So yeah, I would definitely stress, really following different newsletters or social media to get that information.
That's awesome. Thank you. Chief, you're going to close us out.
Yeah, I really think situational awareness is key. And when I say that, just know where you're going and understand where you're at. Lighting. If you're going, as Mo mentioned, if you're going out to dinner, and think about, well, where am I walking? Is it well lit? Is there a lot of people in that area? You got to think ahead a little bit. I know sometimes in a busy world that's hard, but just take 5 seconds to think about, is this the best time to go to this place and the best route? And as a parent of 2 recent graduates, I tell parents, get involved. I know students might like to hear that, but it's okay to shoot a text to your son or daughter saying, how are things going? I heard there's something happening on campus. Just be aware. You don't want to infringe too much on them, but you also want to be connected. So I think that's really important from a parent's point of view.
Yeah, thank you for that, Chief. Parents continue to be one of our best partners in helping to ensure their students' success and safety. So I agree with you 100%. Parents and family members, support your student, cheer for them, but also encourage them to pay attention to their surroundings and to leverage the many resources that we have at Ohio State. Chief, Mo, Rochelle, thank you all so much for joining me today and giving such a clear picture about the safety and support resources at Ohio State. I also really appreciate the way that you all have highlighted the importance of partnerships and relationships. We don't get to do anything well in this life alone. And what you all are talking about relative to the different groups that we work with, our off-campus partners, CPD and others, it's really, really, really super important. So it's not always just about the policies or the technology, but it's really about the people. And to our listeners, remember that an Ohio State community is a caring community. So we encourage you to do your part, use your resources, stay aware, and look out for each other. That is it for today's episode of Docs Download, the podcast edition. Subscribe, make sure you share with friends, and join us next time as we continue exploring topics that matter to our campus community and that those topics allow our students to engage, learn, and thrive. Have a great day, everybody. This program is a presentation of the Office of Student Life at The Ohio State University, recorded in the studios of WOSU Public Media. Your engineer is Dalton Jones, producers J. Randall Hicks and Matthew Swearingen, and executive producer Jen Vandemark. The views expressed are those of the host and guest and do not necessarily reflect those of the university. Join us next time for another edition of Docs Download, the podcast.